Oh,
Hi friends, welcome to this week's class of Dead Funny University. I am your host and fellow student Kelsey, and joining me today to teach us about Loki. We are not doing a semester. Today is a focused class because, of course, the new Marvel show is coming out on Disney Plus, I believe, and we are getting ready for that, and I'm really excited, but I don't know anything about Loki, and fortunately, Chris does. So Chris, how are you doing this evening?
Woo. Doing good. I'm excited for the Loki show to see all things Loki. See how
Now,
that goes.
the audience may not know, our our community may not know, but you research before we go into these shows to make sure that you're not saying anything that is incorrect. How much research did you have to do on Loki versus what you remembered from when you were young?
So just to give everybody a little bit of a deep dive, and I feel like at this point they've helped me out with refreshing so much of my memory that they deserve, I guess, a little shout out. But there's a YouTube channel called Variant Comics, and they do a really good job of giving you like, here's 10 minutes, this is this character, and they kind of go over some of the stuff that we do. Other than that, it's more of, with my research, because I do remember a lot, it's more of making sure that I've got the names spelled correctly and more of getting pictures than anything else is where I spend a lot of my time. And then coming up with questions that I think, one, are good and two, are fair. So I don't want to just be like, giving you like, oh, fucking episode or good comic issue number 5 of Loki. What was that about? It's like, you're not going to fucking know.
No,
It doesn't matter.
that's the whole
Exactly.
point is I don't know.
Exactly. I know, but still, like it also probably wouldn't fucking matter. But and then it's more of what I do outside of that is trying to, for instance, look into things that Loki is doing now. So as a comic book reader, for those of you who aren't comic book readers, comic book collectors, the chance of me knowing every single comic that's on the shelf now is physically fucking impossible.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is, one, financially, two, just time in general. So the basic rule of thumb with YouTube is like every time you watch a YouTube video, you become thousands of hours behind of if you were trying to watch every video that's uploaded. Same thing goes with comics. And the reason why is because there has been a shift that whenever a character gains, any kind of fandom, more people are going to want to write that character because that's a paycheck to the comic book writers. So obviously they're going to jump on that. Case in point, Deadpool. When I first started reading Deadpool, he had one series that came out once a month. Last time I was in a comic book shop, which was about a month, maybe 2 months ago, Deadpool had 18 running series at one time. 18 different series, not one, 18. And I think it was 14 of them were weekly releases, and the other 4 were split down the middle between bi-weekly releases and monthly releases. It's just not possible. Just to keep up with Deadpool alone, who is someone I do enjoy reading, it's just not possible. It's just physically not possible. So there's a lot of shit going on that I might not be privy to at the moment that, maybe someone who is a Loki fan is currently reading like a new Loki comic that's out. So I try to look into that to kind of see what he's going through now and what makes sense to throw in here. And as I was discussing with Kelsey before we got on screen, a lot of this information might not actually cater to the show because Marvel Cinematic Universe takes their liberties and does what they want to do with these characters, and that's their right to do that. So we have no idea, if a lot of this is going to stay the same. One thing, case in point, that was different in the comics, Hela is Loki's daughter. In the movie, Hela is Loki's stepsister. Yeah, so question number 1, which we always start off with this question, and Kelsey always gets it wrong because I do not expect her to get this one right. What was Loki's first appearance?
I'm gonna say Thor 7, 1921.
No.
Cool.
This one, I feel at some point you should be able to start guessing, like how you guess the title. I feel at this point, or maybe even a little bit further on, because it has been a while since we've done some Marvel content on here, but I feel like at some point you should be able to start guessing these names because of how much they get repeated and guess who could be able to create a character. But I'm going to say, who created Loki? I feel like you should get 2 of the 3 names.
Oh no. I'm hoping Stan Lee was in some way involved.
Stan Lee was one of them.
Oh,
That is correct.
thank God.
The other one, like I said, you might not remember him. We've talked about him a lot, though.
I'm
Is
so
the other
sorry.
biggest name in comics?
Oh God, no! Now you say that, I'm gonna look like an idiot.
You don't though. You don't read comics. This is all you have is the DFU. That's
I
fair.
don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, we'll go into that when we get there. Who is Loki's father?
Oh, it's not Odin.
Not Odin. That is
It's the
correct.
king of the ice giants whose name I can't remember.
The Frost
The
Giants.
frost giants, excuse me.
Okay, and we'll go into that when we get there. What
Okay.
was Loki's first big hit in the comics?
Big hit meaning time he got punched by
As in,
someone?
as in, this was basically where people started paying attention to Loki because he's been in the comics before, but he had one big, this was his standout moment in the comics where Loki was more solidified as Thor's forever nemesis. And as much as you don't read comics, you do know this moment.
It can't possibly be
yeah.
Ragnarok because they wouldn't throw
No.
that into the comics that early.
No. Although we will go into Ragnarok in our DFU a little bit, and there's a very interesting story that I can't wait for you to hear about. Well, that being said, who is Loki's wife?
Oh, mother hell! I actually know this one. Shit.
I don't know how to say her name. That's the one character I don't know how to pronounce her name. I have it written down, but I literally have no idea how to pronounce
I
it.
know it, but I can't remember it. I like you're gonna say it. I'm gonna be like, I fucking knew that. God damn it.
I'm gonna say it, and you're gonna correct me because I don't know how to fucking pronounce it.
That's probably true.
What? Now, this was the one that I thought maybe if you knew Norse mythology a little bit, you would get this one for sure. But we'll see. What is the worst punishment Odin ever put Loki through?
Oh. Making it so he can't die?
No.
Okay.
You're thinking of Thanos and Deadpool.
No, I am not thinking of Thanos and Deadpool.
Oh, I did. If you were going for Marvel, I thought you were thinking of Thanos and Deadpool. But okay. And then obviously we already talked about this. Who is Loki's daughter?
And
You
that would
got
be
that one.
Hela. Yeah.
And then who? Actually, technically, you should know this one too. Who taught Loki magic?
Freya?
Yep, that is correct.
And I do know that off
Look at
of the mythology, not the movies.
Yeah, they hinted at it in the movies, but it was at the end of a movie, and it wasn't really heavy bam bam. And they never explained it later in the movies, but it was explained a lot more in the comics about how Freya felt that Thor and Odin forever cast a shadow on Loki, so she wanted to do something for Loki so that way he could have his own light. So she taught him magic.
I think I got one of those.
No, I'll put it this way: you got 1/3 of a question, you got half of another question, and I even skipped a question. But where is Loki from?
Fuck, the name of the plant, the name of the goddamn realm with the ice people that I couldn't care less about.
Anyways, you knew one of the answers, but you couldn't remember how to who it was.
Yeah, that doesn't help me. Freya. So I got Freya and Stan Lee.
Well, now you got Hela.
And I got Hela. All right, I got 2 1/3. I'll take it.
Give you some props. I'll give you some props. Well, you got half. You got Loki, or I almost said his name. His daddy, the Frost Giant. So you got Frost Giant part. So I'll give you that. You got half of that too. Look at that.
I know where the Frost Giants are from too. It's like Hintervels or something like that. And you're gonna tell me, and I'm gonna be so pissed off.
Yes, you will.
I'm gonna spend a lot of this pissed off because I know when I've forgotten. Let's go.
All right, let's get started. So Loki Laufey's son is his actual name. Loki is a frost giant baby, but he was not actually a giant. He was actually a disgrace to his father due to the fact that he was not born a giant like the rest. So Laufey, who is the king of the frost giants, is basically, like I said, his daddy. And him and Odin had a epic battle a very, very long time ago in order for Odin to continue to keep and maintain power over all of the realms, he had to fight a whole bunch of enemies. And when it got down to him and Laufey, they had a nice one-on-one fight until the very end, whenever Laufey lost, and Odin, one of the soldiers from Asgard, found this blue bag, and Odin said, "There's something in there. Open it so I can, see its contents." And the soldier's like, "It's a little baby," and then he's like, "Oh." And so Odin in the movie, so this was different between the movie and the comics, so I thought was pretty cool. In the movie, baby Loki was blue. In the comics, baby Loki was white. He looked just like he does as an adult now.
Was
He was
that
blue in
part
the
of the
movie.
shame that Laufey felt?
So no, so the shame was just solely for the fact that he was not a giant.
Ah,
That's the only shame there was, because he was like a normal sized baby, to where he should have been like the same size as Odin as like a toddler. So like ice giants are huge. So yeah. So therefore that's where the shame was. So in the comics, like I said, wasn't anything different. In the movies, they changed it. To be fair, I should rewind back a little bit. The ice giants were also originally white. So that's where your confusion was. They got
ah,
recreated later on to have the blue skin that they have now.
interesting.
So, anyways, that being said, so yeah, we then end up getting Odin, where he takes Loki from Laufey and says that this will from now on be, Loki, Odin's son, and will be step brother to Thor, my one true heir to Asgard. Now, the problem is that whenever you bring in the stepson and you still consider the other one the one true heir to Asgard, that's going to cause some tension. So Loki's entire personality is built on the thirst for power and the constant thrill that he gets of revenge. So Loki in mythology is known as the trickster god, which he's also known as in Marvel. Loki loves to play tricks. One of the biggest ones that he's known for, which is funny because outside of the comic universe, a lot of people don't know this, but Loki actually cast some magic whenever they were making Mjolnir. Mjolnir was originally supposed to have a handle that was almost as big as Thor. Like, it was supposed to be as long as Thor. It was like a long handle that he could literally bring around and slam down. Because back then, whenever you look at this Norse mythology aspect, a lot of this, and once again, relates to Final Fantasy VII with the Buster Blade, a lot of weapons, it's like the bigger the weapon, the more powerful you are, because you have to be powerful to wield that. And that's what that was about. And he knew Thor was all about power. So he's like, if I give him this tiny little hammer,
he's going to be
it's going to
embarrassed
ruin
and
his day.
ashamed. Got it.
What he didn't know is that Thor's a badass and was going to find out how to use that to his advantage. Hint, the fact that Thor can't actually fly. A lot of people think he can. Obviously, if you've seen the movies, they've also explained the fact that he can't fly. It's like that in the comics, too. He has to wind up the hammer and then, takes off with it. So he uses his own might to throw the hammer, but holds that little handle, and then it goes flying through. So it actually turned out to be better for Thor to not have Mjolnir with his gigantic handle. He wouldn't be able to do that.
That probably annoyed. As soon as he took off the first time, Loki was probably like, fuck.
Son of a bitch. So, yeah. But so now to talk about Loki's first appearance. So Loki first appeared in Journey into the Mystery number 85 back in October 1962. He wasn't really known as like a big character yet. His biggest debut, where he got his big hit, as I said in the comics, was actually Avengers number 1. That's right. You heard me, folks. Avengers number 1. And I think I probably have even talked about this on a podcast before. But Avengers number 1, in the Avengers movie, when we see the fact that Loki kind of has that mind control aspect over the Hulk, and he goes chasing after Scarlet Johansson, that is a nod directly to the comics. The nod is that Avengers number 1 is back, and Black Widow was not a member of the Avengers at this point. She just so happened to obviously fall in love with the whole love interest between her and Bruce Banner. Back in the comics, it was Captain America, Ant-Man, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor, right? So that's pretty much what you had for the Avengers at that point, Avengers number 1. Loki is the sole reason, and this is actually what's driven most of his hatred through his early years of the comics, is the sole reason the Avengers became a team. So they were kind of more of like a ragtag team of heroes. Loki wanted to fuck with Thor like he always does, and Odin had already banished him off to this faraway island where his fucking body couldn't leave. He was banished for a while. And Loki's like, well, you might banish my body, but you can't banish my magic. And he used his magic to be able to have like these phantom eyes, if you will, and travel around to find where Thor was at. Now, in the old school comics, I know, right? In the old school comics, Thor actually had a secret identity as a doctor on Earth. Imagine that. Yeah, I can't remember what his name was. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Yeah, you need to go find that. I'm really interested.
Dr. Thor. Marvel Comics. I believe it was Doctor. Let's see here. Donald Blake. Dr. Donald Blake was created by Odin to be the host for his son Thor. So I guess he just hosted the power of Thor. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. I never read Avengers 1, like the full thing, because comics like fucking $20,000. Odin decided it was time that Thor learned humility. Odin had Thor surrender his hammer to him, then sent him to Earth in the mortal guise of a crippled young Harvard University medical student named Dr. Blake. Stripped of his memory of his true identity as Blake, Thor learned the value of the humble, perseverance, all that stuff. But yeah,
full stop. Full stop. So his dad's like, you need to learn humility. I'm going to go make you a Harvard-educated doctor. That's what's going to teach you humility in the fucking United States? Fuck off, Odin. You privileged, trust fund, baby-loving piece of shit. I hate that.
Odin didn't know what the fuck a college degree was, so I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I mean,
it's sure. Not something that happens in Asgard, I'm sure.
I don't fucking care. He gave him the most privileged, cushy life and was like, "This'll teach him humility." Fuck off, Odin.
So yeah, we had Dr. Thor for a little while.
To be humble.
To be humble.
What was supposed to be humble about that? Like, him having responsibilities? Was that what was supposed to be his humbleness of like, I have to pay my rent? Oh no, I guess I gotta go to work.
Well, he walked with a cane, so there's that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I see right here, he's walking with a cane.
I don't care. I know an electrical engineer that got cancer in the knee when she was young. She's amputated from the knee down on one leg, and that woman is by no means like, she's not full of herself by any means, but her amputation in no way defines her personality. And so I am so offended by the idea that like, we're gonna make you crippled to teach you humility, but we're gonna give you a Harvard degree to make up for it. That can fuck right the fuck off. Fuck that.
So back to Avengers first comic. So Loki uses his eyes to find out where Thor is, what he's doing, and he sees what he's up to. So he wants to obviously do what Loki does, cause mischief. So he gets inside the Hulk. Hint, hint. There's the connection. He gets inside the Hulk and makes the Hulk see this train that's coming on these train tracks, which that's there. But what he makes the Hulk see is that there's a bomb. So the Hulk, trying to be a hero, jumps up there to grab the bomb and ends up smashing a train track where the train is coming. He saves the train, but the Avengers take it as, okay, the Hulk's on a rampage again.
He can't be trusted. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. To where when they're over there trying to stop the Hulk, Thor ends up finding out that it's Loki's magic really quickly, and then all is well. Mm-hmm. That was how the Avengers started. Which basically, if it was for Loki, never would have happened. 1, 2, like I said, gotta like the nod that they did in the movies to the comics. So with him doing the whole mind control thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, so moving on from there, Loki has had tons of different looks. He's been redone in the comics so many times. He's died and come back to life so many times. There's been all different kinds of Lokis. He's been a fucking cat before. He's done all kinds of shit.
I'm sorry. He's been a Captain America?
I said a cat.
Oh, God. I thought you said a cap, and I was like, what the fuck? Full stop. Okay.
No, he's done a lot of different shit.
As a cat, he looks
As
really
I
cool.
explained earlier, right? As I explained earlier, his daughter is Hela. She is queen of the underworld. That was the same kept, but like I said, the only difference is that Loki was actually, her father, not her stepbrother. We talked about Laufey being the Frost Giant King. That was Loki's father. We talked about what was his biggest hit. So where is Loki from? The Frost Giant's ice world is called Jotunheim.
I believe it's Jotunheim.
Jotunheim, same shit.
No.
So that was where we were at. But yeah, and then moving on. So we were going to talk about Loki's wife. Now I don't know how to pronounce her name. It's spelled Sigyn. Don't want to say that it's literally like sign, but that's kind of what I'm fucking getting here. But yeah, that's his wife. She is actually
it is sign. Yeah.
It is sign. Okay, and that's fine. But yeah, so that is his wife, and she matches his color scheme, which is pretty cool. And which is also something to nod at the movies, where they kind of kept the color scheme. He kind of has like the green coat with the fucking, the golden antlers that he wears every once in a while whenever he wants to. So his look has kind of stayed pretty much almost the same throughout, as far as like his color scheme with the traditional aspect of Loki, which is pretty cool. I like that. I've always liked the way that Loki has looked. I thought he was a pretty cool character. Once again, mythology is kind of like right up my alley. But one of the reasons why I know who his wife is because of Loki's worst punishment ever. So Loki was up to some no good shit. I can't remember exactly what it was that got this punishment. I think it was more of like Odin was having a bad day and Loki had done a bunch of shit. And he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to give you something to hopefully stop all this mischief bullshit. The worst punishment that Loki was ever given, and it's a lot more gruesome in actual mythology, because this was taken from mythology, than it is in the comics. So there you can see the comic book cover of it, where he summoned a poisonous viper to drop acid venom directly into Loki's eyes. Loki is not able to move. He then, to show grace, also exiles his wife there with a jar. She is able to hold the jar over the venom to stop it from going into Loki's eyes, but sooner or later the jar will fill, and the entire time that she is dumping it out and coming back, he will then get hit in the face with this acid venom. In the actual mythology, instead of shackles, it's actually the entrails of his son. They actually slaughtered one of Loki's sons and took his entrails and tied him up with his son's entrails. That became like hella shackles and held him down for this to happen.
Holy shit!
A little bit darker than mythology.
That is way darker. I can't imagine the horror of having a child slaughtered, followed by the parts of that child being used to hold me immobile. Like, that is psychologically damaging on a level that I don't think I'm prepared to deal with. Like, Jesus Christ.
But this, by far, was known as the worst punishment that Loki has ever been given. We're about to get into another one of his punishment. Well, I don't really see this one as a punishment. I just see this one as just kind of justice, because he's always a dick to Thor. But I did talk about the fact that Loki is up to some shit recently, and I did look into it, and it apparently turns out that after Loki was done doing mischief, he just decided to actually want to get an actual job, and his actual job was to be president.
I'm sorry. What?
Yep, Loki for president of the United States. Yep, that is what he is currently up to in the comics, and apparently he was trying to trick a whole bunch of people so that way he could win votes. And catch this, Kelsey. And for all of you viewers out there that are not actually from the States might not get this, but it was the media that uncovered his dirty secrets. How much of a joke that is.
I absolutely love that the believe is just highlighted and lie in the middle of it. That is
Right?
that is just so beautiful and on the nose, and I love it.
I love it. It's great. Anyways, so yeah, that's what Loki is currently up to in the comics. So yeah, that kind of covers a little bit of his origin. Most of his time in the comics has always obviously been a pain in Thor's side. Um, That being said, a lot of the stuff he does in the comics is really trying to fuck over the Avengers because, like I said, he is super pissed off that he is the reason why the Avengers exist in the first place. So he's not too happy about that. He ends up making a group of villains. It had people like Red Skull, Doctor Doom, so on, so on, and literally brought them all in a room and gave them the easiest conversation in the world on why they all suck. It's like, you all suck. And you need to not suck. And I'm going to tell you how you can not suck. Dr. Doom, who do you fight? The Fantastic Four. Okay, cool. You're going to go fight the Avengers because they don't know who you are and they don't know your powers. You fucking idiot. All right, who are you? All right, you normally fight Spider-Man. You're going to go fight the Fantastic. Literally just made them fight different people. I was like, they don't know you. They don't know your powers. They're not going to be able to stop you right away. So, yeah. And basically,
you're going to get a lot more done.
To do his bidding. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
I mean, obviously, plot heroes win in the end. But, it happens. The biggest thing that a lot of people like to hear about is the brotherly love between Thor and Loki. There is none. Much like the movies show you, it's not like that in the comics. They fucking hate each other. And Loki constantly pisses Thor off. The best time that Thor finally had it with Loki was whenever he became Rune King Thor. What Rune King Thor is that he had to go through these 3 different trials of mind, body, spirit, all that fun stuff. And he basically became this fucking badass that could tap in, not control, but tap in to the Odin power. The Odin power is like the shit. Like whenever he becomes for instance, we saw actually a little bit of the Odin power in the movies whenever he was fighting Hela and he could just have the lightning crack out of him and shit. That was him tapping into the Odin power. He wasn't quite fully there yet. But basically, Thor finds out after becoming Rune God that they're stuck on a loop. He's like, this will never end. Loki will try to take over. I'll kill whatever the hell Loki has come at us. Somebody dies in the crosshairs, and then fucking Loki gets punished. Then he gets out. Then he does it all over again. I'm sick with the games. So Thor's like, fuck it. And this loosely based off, or the movie was loosely based off of this. The third one, Ragnarok. He said, fuck it. I'm just gonna let it all go. I don't care. Everybody on Asgard can die. But I will make sure that if everybody on Asgard is going to die, so is Loki. Loki will die. So he ends up finding Loki, and I kid you not, decapitates him.
Oh,
literally
shit.
Pulls Loki's head clean off his shoulders. And then uses the rune power to keep Loki's head alive and conscious. And then uses his ponytail to tie him around his waist and take him with him to go destroy him later.
Huh.
So that way he too will then die on Asgard. That was the time when Thor finally said, fuck it!
You're going.
I'm done. You're an asshole, and you're always an asshole, and I'm done. So yeah.
Sick of your shit. Wow.
Go ahead, though.
Okay, so my questions. First, Loki is his name. We know that. Does he go by any other aliases?
Loki 616. He has a lot of aliases, actually. So we've got God of Mischief, God of Evil, Prince of Lies, Son of Secrets, the Maker of Mischief, the Sly One, the Lord of all Liars, Lie Smith, Sly God, Shape Changer, Wizard of Lies.
Those are less aliases and more just things that people yell at him when he's tricked them again. They're like, "You
pretty much
Prince of Lies!" They're just pissed off.
But this one is interesting. During the 1940s and 50s, he briefly called himself Satan on occasions. As a shapeshifter, Loki has impersonated many individuals, among them the Scarlet Witch.
Ooh.
And many other things and people on Asgard and Earth. But his actual real name, obviously, is Loki Laufeyson.
Impersonated the Scarlet Witch. That sounds like that could be very relevant in our current world.
To where we're at. Exactly. It could be. It absolutely could be. Yeah. I know that there was a time where Loki died. And he came back as a woman because he was possessing Sif. So there was that. We had woman Loki for a little bit.
She doesn't deserve that. So that was actually going to be one of my next questions is I'm under the impression that his gender and sexuality and identity are very fluid and are based entirely on what his current con is as opposed to his preference. What do you know about that to be true or untrue?
So I would say this. For the canon aspect of Loki, Loki is a white straight male. There was one time where they tried to do more of a modern version of Loki where he was gender fluid and he was bisexual in that as well. And I don't think that comic had a long running series. And that's the only time that's ever been like a change besides, like I said, when he was brought back as a woman, and that wasn't for a long time. He actually changes back to regular Loki in that exact same comic series.
Okay, so it's very possible that my understanding of him taking on different genders and different sexualities and experiencing life that way is more based off of the mythology, which it sounds like
Correct.
is not reflected in the comics. Okay.
Not as much, no. Not
And
even
his
close.
species is frost giant primarily. I
Mhm.
say primarily just because every now and then he's like, I'm going to be a lizard. I'm going to be this for a while. I'm going to be, all right, great. Universe is the Marvel universe specifically related to Asgard and Jotunheim. Correct?
Right.
Okay, his powers are primarily magic and being a trickster and using magic for trickster purposes. Anything else that's really relevant?
So as far as marital status update, he is separated.
Oh,
Yep.
Sign left him because he sucked?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Powers and abilities. So actually, we'll run through his little power grid here. His intelligence is a 5. It looks like the highest you can have is a 7. His strength is a 4, but can be powered up to a 5. His speed is a 7. Durability is 6. Energy protection is 6. Actually, no, that is actually a 1 and can be powered up to a 6. So in other words, whenever he's using all of his magic.
Mm-hmm.
And then fighting skills is a 3. So really, he's pretty powerful as far as a character is concerned. He really doesn't have any low numbers besides the 2 3s, and one of those could be bumped up. Teleporter, higher strength, energy protection, and original form. Loki has superhuman strength, superhuman dense tissue, superhuman durability, regenerative healing factor, superhuman stamina, superhuman longevity, and sorcery. With his sorcery, he can do telekinesis, mystical energy blast, mystical force fields, illusion casting, teleportation, shape shifting, physical enhancement, and other mystical abilities.
Okay. And then his primary day job is president when he's not being a villain, president and villain.
Right.
Significant relationships are primarily Sign, his wife, Thor, who he hates, and other people like the Avengers and things like that that are people that he hates. Correct?
Right.
His
Mm-hmm.
major enemies are the Avengers, and does he have anything resembling Henchman Squad, any of that?
Not really. He does have a tie to the dark. What's that called?
Dark Elves?
No. Dark Council members, which was that League of Villains I was talking about earlier. But that being said, he does have some weaknesses here that I'm reading. His
Ooh.
actual other abilities, he has genius intellect, which obviously makes sense. All speak. All speak is Loki can communicate in all of the languages of the 9 realms and various alien languages, which makes sense with the movie.
Yeah.
And he says skilled combat, but I don't really think he is. But his weakness, magical limitations. Loki's powers are believed to be at least a slightly weaker on Midgard than Asgard, which makes sense. As his birth was not of Earth, and even Odin's magic was on the wane on Earth. Also, while apparently possessing some abilities that resemble powers, Loki cannot directly read the minds of other beings, nor can he control their actions. So basically, the stuff with Hulk was making him think he sees a bomb, not actually controlling him to jump up there and destroy the tracks, which
It was
how
the
we talked about it in the
illusions,
comic.
not.
It was the illusion of it, exactly. So he didn't
Okay.
mind control the Hulk. Superiority, inferior complex, inferiority complex. That makes sense. That's pretty funny. Obviously, his equipment, Loki sometimes carries with him certain mystical empowered objects are substances that were used to expand on his own magical powers to make permanent mystical transformations. Weapons, a magical sword known in Norse mythology as Leviathan. Leviathan, I don't know.
Spell it.
Laevateinn. Laevateinn.
Leviathan, I would think, but
Leviathan, yeah, which means wow or wounding wand.
okay.
Yeah,
Is it a foil? Like,
I don't know. What's interesting to me when reading that is the fact that they chose to have him always have a knife in the movies. So I would be interested to see why they chose to have Loki, like, because they kept obviously Thor's hammer, which makes sense. But if he's known to always carry the sword, I wonder what was the director change from going with a sword to a knife. I mean, I feel like that trickster kind of like rogue class makes more sense to have a knife, in my opinion, just from like, and probably you're picking the same vibe I'm putting down with like the RPG aspect of things.
mm-hmm.
But I wonder what was the main thought process there to make the change. So with the thought process here of a lot of the stuff we talked about probably doesn't actually take place in the cinematic universe. I did find here, it's called the Mighty Avengers, where Loki took on, this is the quick little overview of what he did as Scarlet Witch. Loki took on the form of the Scarlet Witch in her astral form and recruited a team of Avengers to face the Elder God. The Avengers, aware of Loki's trick, followed his false Wanda's instructions. Her goal in using these Avengers was to throw Norman Osborn off balance. Loki intended to put cracks in Osborn's armor and gradually widen these cracks through the Mighty Avengers. So there's that. Yeah. So maybe it will. And maybe they have their own fucking thing they're going to do. Who knows? Who fucking knows?
Who are the two other people that created him?
Oh, yeah, we did go over that. So Jack Kirby was the other name I wanted you to get. Jack the King Kirby, who started basically, if you look at it this way, he didn't start Marvel Comics. So when Stan Lee first started getting into comics, he was just doing little doodles on the back of Captain America comics, who was not made by Marvel Comics at the time. They were made by Timely Comics. Marvel didn't exist. Then Stan Lee wanted to start writing his own comics. Timely Comics went out of business. Stan Lee made Marvel Comics. Jack King Kirby came over with him. Jack King Kirby and, well, his name's Jack Kirby, but everybody calls him Jack the King Kirby. Jack King Kirby and Stan Lee made the majority of the heroes that we have in Marvel Comics today. Fantastic Four, Loki, Thor, like all the top main hitters. I guarantee you, Stan and Jack
were
together.
Involved in.
Yes,
Got it.
100%.
And then who's the third?
The third was Larry Lieber. That guy I don't know as much about.
Got it. Okay. So I think I have all my questions answered. Do you want to run through the quiz one more time and hopefully I get everything?
Let's see what happens.
We'll
what
see.
was Loki's first appearance?
That would be Journey in the Mystery, number 75, 1982.
85. Close enough.
Oh, it was 85, not 75? Okay.
Yep, 85. Who created Loki? We just talked about it.
Stanley, Jack Kirby, Larry Lieber next.
Who is Loki's father?
That was Laufey.
Laufey the Frost Giant, correct. What was Loki's first big hit in the comics?
That would be basically uniting the Avengers in Avengers number 1 and making them a team.
There you go. Where is Loki from?
Jotunheim, which I did know. God
Who is Loki's wife?
Sign.
What was the worst punishment Odin put Loki through?
Shackled by his child's entrails while acid venom pours into his eyeballs. Jesus Christ.
That was, once again, the mythical one. In Marvel, there was no entrails. Just want to throw that out there for any kids who are wanting to watch Loki or not watch Loki but read Loki, or parents who are like, oh, my kid might like Loki comics. The entrails are not in the comics. Who is Loki's daughter?
Hela, not Freya. Hela. I know that.
And who taught Loki magic?
That would be Freya.
That would be Freya. You're so close. Look, you almost switched them back and forth.
Yeah, that's not good. Don't do that. I don't get points for that. That's going to do it for our class on Loki. If you liked this content, please like and subscribe and turn on those notifications so you know when to come to class. We do try to do these in such a way that it relates to media that is relevant, coming out, etc. That may be picking up more here in 2021 as groups have been able to get together and actually produce some of the media that we like to enjoy. So
Yeah.
so maybe we will be doing this more and fewer semesters, more one-off classes. So if you enjoyed this, please come and hang out with us again. We do have Twitter and Twitch links in the comments or in the links below, but most importantly, please leave comments. We love to know what you think. We love when we get something wrong, telling us it's wrong. Actually, super helpful. That doesn't embarrass us. That makes us go, really? Fuck, shit. And we run and we figure out what we did wrong, and then we acknowledge that you were right. And we'll do that in the links below, in the comments below specifically. I don't know what the difference is between links and comments, apparently. Hopefully you do, because I want you to leave a comment, not a link. But we will see you in the next class of Dead Funny University. Bye, friends.